We're actually a little bit past time, so I'm going to call this a very special meeting to order. You know, this is always a highlight of the year. This is when a chance for us to honor those that are among the very best at their profession and have unbelievable impacts on young people. So I want to welcome everybody here tonight. It's a great turnout, as it should be. And without further ado, I will ask Robert to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Beverly, if you would please record the attendance.
Board President, all board members present.
Thank you, Beverly. This gets us to item number 4 on your agenda. You have received the agenda for tonight's meeting, January 31st, 2022, as well as the minutes for the special called meetings of January 6, 2022 and December 6, 2021. You also should have the minutes for the regular Board of Education meeting of December 6, 2021, and the financial statements for November and December of 2021. All those are for your consideration for approval. Does anyone have any questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion we approve.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those are approved. This gets us to item 5, Panther Pride, and I'll turn the floor over to Dr. Cofield.
Thank you, Coach. We have a lot of things to mention tonight. First of all, I want to talk about accreditation for just a second. We've been through accreditation about 2 months ago. That's a big deal. It's when peers from all across the country, other educators come into your school system and evaluate your school system through a process used to be called SACS. It's now called Cognia is the group that runs that. We got our results last night. I can't tell you how pleased we are with our results. Generally, there's 4 ranges, colors red, yellow, green, and blue. Typically, most school systems get scored in the yellow-green, the 2 to 3 range. All of our scores were in the top 2 ranges, the green and the blue. They told us the average scores, the typical average was between 278 and 283. We got a score of 332.74. Scores aren't that big of a deal. It depends on who you get and how they score. But we just did phenomenally well. And I can't say enough, Shannon, who was the facilitator and the organizer, but all of our teachers and assistant principals and instructional coaches and principals, I mean, everybody that was involved, we really put on our best foot forward, and it was recognized by the team that visited. So Shannon will probably be going a little more in depth with the board at a later date about some of those results, but I did want to share that. It is School Board Appreciation Month. You guys dedicate countless hours of your time to go above and beyond to provide valuable insight and leadership that guides the direction of our school system. We sincerely appreciate the dedication to our students, schools, and community. To celebrate it this year, I think you've been out and spending some time in the school, which is what you really enjoy doing. Of course, the schools couldn't help to do their part too. I saw some really cool things that they gave y'all. But on a personal note, we've been through some tough times here in everybody involved with schools, and you've always been a model for what conversation should look like. People on this board don't think alike. You have different backgrounds, yet at the same time, you're always able to come together and have the right kind of conversations. And to me, you really set the example for Pelham. And I want you to know that I appreciate that. And I would like for everyone in this audience to give our board a round of applause for our board member appreciation. Moving on, National Board Certification. We've had 3 more Pelham teachers. It's a rigorous process, highly reputable credentials for teachers who are committed to excellence and improving their practice and student learning experience. We placed a focus on resources and support for teachers who want to pursue certification. I want to congratulate Rebecca Davenport from Pelham Oaks, Tanya Hatch from Pelham High School, Peyton Smith from Pelham Oaks. In addition, 2 of our teachers, Lori McCary from Pelham High School and Lindsay Kilgore, an instructional specialist, were recently recertified. We have several others who have already attained certification in various stages of that process. When we started several years ago, I think we had one in our school system, and now we continue to grow that number. So shout out to those teachers. We had Pelham students awarded at the theater festival. The theater department had several students participated in the Trumbauer High School Theater Festival with 2,000 students across the state. Our students were well represented, had a great showing. Every student from Pelham that competed placed in their respective categories, and we had 4 first place winners, 2 third place winners. Congratulations to Miranda Pierce, Jashal Grewal, Reese Brownwell, Cammie Askew, Lauren Gash, and Abby Hayes. The Pelham High School Wind Ensemble performed at the state conference. I think some of you were there in attendance for that. The Wind Ensemble was one of 4 high schools selected to be featured at the Alabama Music Educator Association's conference. The performance took place at the BJCC Theater earlier this month for an audience of music educators from across the state. In addition to that, Mr. Ward, the band director, received an award for National Band Citation of Excellence. And I was at the past one. I missed this one, but I heard they performed very, very, very well. So congratulations to our band. Shout out to, shout out to the band, For the first time in the history of our school, both our boys and girls basketball team will be hosting the regional tournament, which means they finished first place during the regular season. They are also, our boys and girls basketball, our boys and girls soccer, all ranked in the top 10 at this time. My dad used to call that high cotton. So, so congratulations to all those folks. So those are some things that we wanted to mention. But as Coach has already mentioned, the highlight of the year for us is to be able to recognize our teachers and support persons. So at this time we're going to do that. If Ms. Bogert will come up and join me. And so what I'll do is I'll read out the name and talk a little about that person, and that person will come up, and we have some plaques for recognition and some other things. And I just want to say to all of our folks, teachers and support staff, you know, again, this has been a hard time on teachers, and I get it. As it's difficult for parents, it's been difficult for school administrators, but I don't know that anybody really realizes how difficult it's been on our teachers and our folks. No matter what the circumstances are, y'all are there to greet them at the door. Whatever the controversy is about mask or no mask, y'all are there at the door taking care of our kids. And so this year, I think you really have a special recognition because you represent all those people back at your schools who are working so hard, and you know how hard those folks are working. So let's get started. Mrs. Annette Green is at Pelham Oaks Elementary School. She's a paraprofessional aide in the pre-K classroom at Oaks. She began working in Pelham in 2016. Before working in pre-K, she worked with students in kindergarten, first and second grade. One of her favorite moments is when a kindergarten student thanked her for taking good care of him. She says she truly loves her job, and working with the students brings her joy. Miss Annette Green from Pelham Oaks, if you'll come up. It would be appropriate for pictures if you want to come and take a picture. We'll have somebody doing that, but anybody from the family that would like to do that, we're going to turn around. Don't let me mess the picture up. What do you mean? We got a family member coming? Thank you. Congratulations. Miss Tiffany Grimes from Pelham Ridge Elementary School. She's a paraprofessional aide in the pre-K classroom at Pelham Ridge. She began working in Pelham in 2017. She says she loves helping her students, seeing them reach their goals, and she also appreciates all of her co-workers who encourage her to continue to be great. Her favorite moments often occur in the mornings when she is greeted by her students and co-workers because they provide so much positive energy to begin the day. Miss Tiffany Grimes from Pelham Ridge Elementary. Tiffany's not here. She was unable to join us, and we will make sure that she gets her award. Miss Karen Nguyen from Pelham Park Middle School. Miss Nguyen is an 8th grade paraprofessional aide at Pelham Park Middle School. She's currently in her 19th year in education. She's been in Pelham schools throughout her career, working at Valley Elementary and River Chase Middle prior to the opening of Pelham Park. Her favorite thing about working at Pelham Park is how everyone in the building is accepting and appreciates the different roles and abilities of each person. Mrs. Nguyen says she's had many treasured moments over the years, but among her favorites are earning the trust of a nonverbal student, going to the high school and having previous students tell her they miss her, seeing success in the students' eyes when they get it, and the feeling each night of knowing that somehow, sometime today, you touched a life and you may never know it. Miss Karen Nguyen, Pelham Park Middle School. Thank you, Ms. Wayne. Lynn Vaught from Pelham High School. Ms. Vaught is the Registrar and Counseling Center Secretary at Pelham High School. She's the one in charge in that office. She's worked in Pelham since 2011. The start of Pelham City Schools is one of the highlights of Ms. Vaught's tenure at Pelham High School. She says the many positives that the system has afforded all employees, students, and community have been such a blessing. She says her favorite thing about Pelham High School is watching the journey of students from incoming freshmen to the point that they reach graduation day. She says seeing them mature, witnessing their transformation, and celebrating with them as they walk across the stage and receive their diploma is so exciting and gratifying year in and year out. Ms. Lynn Vaught. Thank you. Ditch the crutch. Don't step on the foot. We got one more for the paper. Also want to mention, as we're about to do our Teachers of the Year, that the Teachers of the Year, along with being recognized with the plaque, will also get a check for their classroom for $100. Is that correct? And also a plaque that will go up outside of their classroom, signifying that they are the Teacher of the Year. Christina Ferguson from Pelham Oaks Elementary School. Ms. Ferguson is a 4th grade teacher at Pelham Oaks. She's been teaching for 14 years. She's taught at Pelham Oaks for 6 years, and she taught kindergarten at Valley Elementary for 1 year before starting at Oaks. Ms. Ferguson chose a career in education because she always loved school and felt called to be an educator. In addition to her role as teacher, Mrs. Ferguson was previously the owner of Kinder Music, where she taught music and movement to preschool children. Ms. Ferguson says her favorite thing about teaching at Pelham Oaks is the sense of family. The kind and loving school culture is something special that she feels blessed to be a part of. She also enjoys being able to have an impact on the families in the community by forming relationships and establishing a connection with her students. One of Ms. Ferguson's greatest accomplishments is attaining National Board certification. She was one of those teachers we were bragging about earlier, and being named the Pelham Oaks Teacher of the Year is at the top of her list as well. Christina Ferguson, Pelham Oaks Elementary School. Congratulations. You got to hold all that while we... We got one more. Congratulations. Lisa Murphy from Pelham Ridge Elementary School, and also our District Elementary Teacher of the Year. Ms. Murphy is the reading coach at Pelham Ridge Elementary. She joined the Pelham family on March 16 of 2020, the day schools closed due to COVID. That's pretty interesting. She says she was so appreciative of the warm welcome she received, even though she had to jump into her new role via Google Meets. Mrs. Murphy has been an educator for 13 years. In addition to her elementary classroom experience, her academic coaching experience extends from kindergarten to 6th grade. She's also coached 7th and 8th grade girls basketball and served as the assistant coach for the boys. You better not tell Miss Kill that. She'll be hitting you up afterwards. In addition to a bachelor's degree and 2 master's degrees, Ms. Murphy is pursuing a doctorate degree and also plans to attain National Board certification. One of Ms. Murphy's favorite parts of the day is overseeing early bird care. You really are a go-getter. You go for the early bird. She says she's not always happy about the early rise, but the happiness of the students in the morning jump starts her day. Lisa Murphy, Pelham Ridge Elementary School. Have one more. You want one? Thank you. Thank you. Charlotte Claire Norris from Pelham Park Middle School. Miss Norris is the theater arts and musical theater teacher at Pelham Park Middle School. She earned her master's degree in 2019 and began teaching in Pelham the same year. Ms. Norris has directed 4 productions during her first 3 years of teaching. She also serves as cheer coach, school leadership team member, and PTO representative. When she's not at school, you might also see Ms. Norris in her role as a performer for local children's company, the Enchanted Princesses. Princesses, I did good there, didn't I? She says her mission is to build confidence in all children through performing arts and to empower the next generation of performers through educational theater. Her favorite part of teaching at Pelham Park Middle School is working with such amazing administrators, co-workers, and students. And I met her mom, who's a teacher at Hewitt-Trussell, that also got Teacher of the Year at the same time. How cool is that? Charlotte Norris, come on up. Spin around. Here we go. Where's Mom? Come here, Mom. Come here, Mom. We're going to put this on Facebook, and I'm going to tell Patty Neal that I've got her teacher as well. I'm going to say we just recruited Mom. Come on up here, Teacher of the Year as well. I am going to send her a text and tell her that I just recruited her teacher. Well, thank you. Absolutely.
Thank y'all so much.
Yep. Justin Foster, Pelham High School and District Secondary Teacher of the Year. Mr. Foster is the television production teacher at Pelham High School. While pursuing a successful career in television production as a camera operator, Mr. Foster's part-time work as an after-school care counselor prompted him to consider teaching as a profession. We're glad he did. He went on to earn his master's in education and began working at Pelham High School in 2018. After establishing Pelham High School's productions and building the broadcast program, he assumed duties as the full-time broadcast teacher in 2020. Mr. Foster's favorite thing about teaching at Pelham is being able to cover so many diverse events and aspects of student life through the weekly Panther playback show. He also leads an evening coaches show during football season, is the play-by-play radio announcer for Panther football, and uses his talents to call Pelham basketball games as well. He also found time to meet a lovely young lady and just get married. His favorite moments are when students tell him that he helped them find their path in life. He says that it's endlessly rewarding to see students grow up and mature, knowing he's had a small part in getting them there. Justin Foster from Pelham High School. Congratulations, man. Well.
Shouldn't your wife be in a picture? You want a picture?
Sure, if she wants to. And I think if all the winners could join us back, we want one picture of all the teachers and all the support people. Y'all all can join us one last time so we get a group picture. And we're all going to listen to Nicole, and she's going to tell us where to stand. Okay. Okay. All right, all the teachers, we're going to do the teachers first, then we'll do the support personnel. Do you want them with their stuff or without their stuff?
It can be without.
You just set him here on the table.
Thank y'all.
All the,
One more.
all this. Just tell me what to do. Thank y'all. One more. All right. Thank y'all. Yep. And so, again, a lot of really talented people up here tonight. It takes more than talent, right? Though it takes that's something in your heart to be a great teacher. And you folks have been through a lot. And I appreciate it. All right, at this time, this is your chance. You can hang around and you can listen to a lot of great conversation, but we will take about a 45-second to minute break if you would like to excuse yourself. We so much appreciate you being here and being a part of it. And one more last applause as these people are getting up and running. Coach, is it me or you?
Okay.
Still me?
Yeah, department reports.
Board members, I do have 5 personnel recommendations that I'm bringing in front of you tonight. We have a termination of an employee. We have the employment of a CNP worker, item 2, a transfer of one of our CNP employees to the assistant manager, a part-time salary agreement with Mr. Howes as a trade supervisor, and employing a bus driver. 5 recommendations coming to you tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Cofield. We do have those 5 items. We do have superintendent's recommendation, and we'll entertain a motion to approve and a second. Motion to approve.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. We're under discussion. There being none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the passage of these 5 items signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And those 5 personnel items pass.
Just 2 items under new business. We have the bands going on some out-of-state competition trips. It looks like Tennessee is the hot spot for these competition trips. So one to Lebanon, the other one to Murfreesboro. 2 items.
All right, very good. Again, we have 2 items from Dr. Cofield to vote on collectively. Anyone have a desire to have either one of these items pulled and voted on separately? Any questions for Dr. Cofield? Comments before we call for the motion and the second? So I will entertain a motion and a second.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Now we're under any discussion.
Good luck to them. Bring home the W.
I think that about sums that up. So let's call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And those 2 items pass.
And I'll kick it back over to the board for necessary actions.
All right. We, of course, at our last meeting, we voted to offer a contract to Dr. Chuck Ledbetter, and I think Dr. Ledbetter is in attendance tonight still. Yes. And of course, Dr. Ledbetter had really 2 really great meetings with our board and with our district-wide personnel. We were very excited to offer him a contract. I think we have gotten all that worked out. The goal tonight is to vote on this contract and get things official. I've asked Steve Stein, one of our board attorneys, if he would just give just a brief summary of the main points of the contract.
I know everyone's had a chance to look at it. Dr. Ledbetter's had a chance to study it and all, and it's very consistent with other superintendent contracts that we see in this area. And the high spots are that it's a minimum 3-year contract that can be extended to 4 years, absent anything extraordinary happening. And the salary, $217,500 a year. Of course, Dr. Ledbetter would enjoy any kind of raises consistent with those of other certificated employees, and those are pretty much the high spots. It's everyone's looked at it, and it's what you see in terms of superintendent contracts.
Does anyone have any questions for Steve or points of clarification? If there aren't any, I'll entertain a motion to approve in a second.
I'll make a motion we approve.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Welcome, Dr. Ledbetter.
Welcome.
Absolutely.
We're not happy about what's happening to my left, but we're very excited about what's happening to my
Yes.
right. And I think that the plan that we had in place and the willingness of Dr. Cofield to make this as smooth a transition as possible. And Dr. Ledbetter brings an awful lot to the table, but the thing that struck me the most is that he really wants to come to Pelham. And I think that's where it all starts. And we really hate to see Dr. Cofield leave, but we are very, very excited about Dr. Ledbetter coming with us if we can get this contract approved. So let's vote on that, okay? All right. All right. All those in favor of the approval of the contract signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that contract is approved unanimously. And congratulations, Dr. Ledbetter. We're looking forward to having you very, very much.
Okay, in superintendent's report, I have several things I want to review with you. You do have probably stuck under your computer. I just want to go over this with you briefly because you'll probably receive this either via email or in the mail. This is it's the colorful thing. It's up under your computer, Robert. There you go.
Oh, you mean under the computer?
Yeah, under the computer. Yeah, under that computer. I'm just going to hit the highlights. Under by the numbers, of course, says that 35% of our students on free and reduced lunch, 17% community eligibility. That means they're automatically qualifying under some other government assistance program, and they automatically are enrolled. 84% of our buses are less than 10 years old, and actually probably 100% of the ones that are on the regular routes are less than 10 years old. Our spares would make that come down. I still think that we have the most current bus fleet probably in the state of Alabama, including the fact that all of our route buses are also air conditioned. Does not hurt when you're recruiting bus drivers, the fact that our buses are air conditioned. Full-time employees, you have those numbers there. Over on the right, overall system rank related to per pupil revenues, we are 18th in the state. There's some numbers of note, 7th when it comes to local revenue, but you see we're very close to the end were at 120. They're 137. Like the school systems keep coming up. So at one time there was 137. There may be a few more, but we are 122nd in the federal dollar revenues that we bring in. But considering that we have a lot of local revenues, we're actually 18th in the state. On the back page, or the second page, it just breaks down the different funding sources. Up at the top, the $406,084 is our 10 mil match. The value, actually the $4,060,000 is our 10 mil match. The value of 1 mil in Pelham is $406,000, and that's so you look at the green number. The state we have $20,683,000 that comes from the state, but they actually withhold the $4 million that comes to us. That's kind of the that's the equity piece in the state of Alabama, so that they withhold those funds. So we have a very high local match, but we do well. So sometimes you hear about that, the 10 mil match. As our property values increase, our 10 mil match increases. On the right hand side, you see Lower Educational Advancement and Technology Fund. You remember this morning I was telling you about we upgraded our budgets for this year, but I didn't have any money allocated yet for our EAT for this year. You can see the last 3 years the amount that's been allocated by the state to Pelham. So this year I would expect $600,000 to $800,000 range if the legislature approves that, unless they get really froggy and decide to do something else with the money. But that we have seen that, so I would expect that we would see something again like this. This is based on last year's 2020 fiscal year. Just wanted to quickly go over that with you in case you get it and have questions. Call me or Sarita anytime if you want a little more explanation. This morning, the work session, you got a budget update with all of our, you don't have this anywhere, this is just recapping this morning's meeting, but Sarita and I have gone back from earlier this year, and we've kind of rebuilt the budgets based on the latest stuff. The projects list, I've sent you, I copied you on an email today that I sent to our architects about the projects that we talked about was moving forward. The projects we have currently, we got the interior project, Pelham High School, which will probably be going on the entire year. If you've been up to Pelham, you've seen the renovations in the library, you've seen the renovations of the spaces outside the auditorium, outside of the gymnasium. They're in the middle, renovated the counselor space. They're in the middle of renovating the restrooms. So those things will be ongoing probably for a while and should be finished sometime this year. The exterior landscaping at the high school is just about finished. The baseball field is just about finished. We had a little stall with the practice field that y'all are aware of. They're about to start the renovations down at the stadium of the building the restrooms and the concession areas out of that metal building that's already down there. So we're looking forward to those. Now moving forward, the email that I sent y'all, we're about to start it's been a problem for years. We've known just priority-wise putting railing at our football stadium so that our parents and grandparents can get up and down the bleachers as they're there. That's a project we're about to start. Paving of Panther Circle that goes around the high school, and also looking at the softball turf and lightings. Those are all things that we talked about this morning and now are underway. You also got an update on all the COVID funds and how we've spent those. Remember, you've got that shared document. Anytime you need to dig a little deeper into that, just give me or Sarita a call. Either one of us could sit down with you and go as deep as you want to go with any of those budgets or any of that kind of stuff. Okay. I want to give you a little bit of an update related to COVID. And so, I had to actually go ask some of my staff today, remind me, I think it was March of 2020 when we pretty much got shut down for the rest of the year. And then they had to kind of walk me back through everything we've been through. So 2021, we were getting ready for the year. We had all these guidelines, all these plans, and And then like the week before school, the ADPH came out with all these revisions about 3 and 6 feet. You remember we did the alternate, we did all this stuff to spread out. And so we kind of went through all that. So in 2021, I think we spent the whole year basically in mask and dealing with that. I think at the very end of the year, it really tailed off. 2020, 21, 22, we thought we had a great summer. We're getting ready to open school, and all of a sudden Delta hit. And during all this, by the way, the main thing we failed to mention is the fact that, the first wave of COVID in March, the ADPH and the governor was making all those calls, and then somewhere in between there, they decided not to make those calls, and everything got pushed down to the local level. In 21-22, this school year, at the beginning dealing with Delta, I think that the metrics that we developed, and if you'll remember, that came out of conversations at a board meeting about, how do we do this? What's the best? All of a sudden, this is on us, right? We're not getting any guidance from the governor or the Alabama Department of Public Health other than local control, and you guys, do what you do, the policies and the procedures. So through lots of conversation, we decided to put some metrics in place to guide that, because if you'll remember, our thing was, last year we were in mask the whole year, and even when it dipped, but we had no control over that. So we tried to develop some system where when things were not good, that we would take more mitigation efforts, and as things calmed down, we would take less mitigation efforts. And I think that served us well dealing with Delta. We were in mask from October and September, but as soon as our numbers dipped, we came out of mask and pretty much stayed out of mask October through December. Omicron comes and visits with us over the Christmas holidays, and we're right back to square one. I do think one thing that served us well is understanding that Omicron was less severe, more contagious. Instead of just keeping our metrics, we decided to increase the levels to give us a little more flexibility. I think that served us well. Whether or not we were picking the right metrics or the right benchmarks, I think it served us well in the fact that this time we only missed one day, only had one remote day, and we were in mask for 10 days. As you know, I made the announcement last Friday that we would become mask optional starting today. So we're kind of at the point, I don't know what's coming next. I really don't have any idea, but I do think that now that we've appear to be coming out of Omicron, we're not through with this thing yet. I watched the numbers. We have our bus drivers. We only have a couple of subs. We could lose 3 or 4 bus drivers due to quarantine and have to cancel bus routes or double route or something. That's probably our tightest employee group is our bus drivers. And just because it's not so easy to replace a bus driver, you've got to have that skill and that certification and those kinds of things. You can't ask another teacher to go cover a bus driver. So that's probably our toughest thing. So now that we're moving, I think it is a time to kind of reflect back, also look forward, and if there are any comments or suggestions, now I'm willing to listen to those. But that's just kind of where we are to date. And again, I think that our system has served us well. I'm not saying that we were right. I'm not saying we were wrong. I've told people the one thing I know is that I don't know sometimes when it's related to COVID. But I think we've done the best that we can. Anybody want to reflect or look forward related to anything about COVID or not?
I guess this is probably time to make some comments. First of all, I'm not a scientist, so I'm not going to pretend to be one. So I think, however, that we're at a state now where it's possible for us to consider a couple of things. I think it's worthwhile to consider making masks optional, period. I'm not joined in that opinion probably by a lot of people, but as a former chaplain, I'm tired of seeing our lives controlled by this disease. I know we got to respect it, we got to understand it, but I'm tired of seeing everything being, fear-producing experiences. So both my boys have had it. They're fortunate, I guess, to have the Omicron variety. I don't deny that there's some people who can't get it. So the only way that we could make things optional, in my mind, is if the quality of mask that people wore who did want to wear it for their own protection, or if they wanted to wear it for the protection of others, it's got to be upgraded. We've got to find some way to provide the N95 masks because there's plenty of, at least anecdotal evidence out there that the cloth masks don't work. And even the N95 masks have to be shaped or fitted for them to be efficient. And I just think it's time that people be able to have that choice. So I just want to bring that up for possibility of discussion.
Well, there certainly are a lot of people all over, the world that feel much the same way. And masks have been kicked around about as much as any subject in modern history. And I think, a mask is a lot of different things. But what it should be is a tool in the toolbox to try to keep really the goal that we've had all along in my mind: schools open, children safe, and teachers safe. And for it to be anything other than that, and Bob, I'm not saying you're making it anything other than that. I'm not saying that at all. But for it to be used as a political tool, which it is used far too often by both the liberal and conservative elements of this country, is dead wrong. And I think it's very important not to get caught up in that. I think it's very important that we don't operate from an attitude of fear either. But are the masks foolproof? Well, certainly not. Do we know exactly what's coming in the future? Well, certainly not. So I'm really wary of any kind of absolutes, whether it's we're going to wear a mask all the time or that masks should always be optional or not used at all. I think one of the things that we have made a good decision on, just my opinion, is that we have tried to rely upon expert opinions, and we've reserved the right to change quickly based upon the things that we have seen and the statistics that we have observed. And I think because of that, and because of the grace of God, and because of some luck, we've been able to keep our schools open. And so I think that there certainly are times when masks should be optional. This is one of those times right here. But I want to keep that mask personally. I want to keep that mask in that toolbox because it says now that masks are worthless. That if they're not worn right, if they're cloth, if they're this or that, they don't work. But who's to say that 6 months from now somebody might say masks are absolutely the most important thing to control the disease? Because the one thing we know about every aspect of this disease is that there is nothing that's certain about any of this. Things change just like that. So I understand the point of view. I think that if I may say that one of the things that you mentioned in some earlier comments is to really look harder at our elementary children. And that maybe that policy needs to be different as compared to our older children. There may be some good merit in that, but I would hate to see us, go to any policy that had an absolute to it, that we're either going to wear a mask all the time or we're not ever going to wear a mask, or masks are always going to be optional. I personally like the way we do it right now. I mean, we've been able to adjust very quickly, and we have been able to again keep that mask as a tool in the toolbox and not use it as a political weapon. So those are my thoughts.
Well, and I just want to say that I think we're fortunate and blessed. We're in good shape now. This thing appears to be falling pretty quickly. Our numbers dropped. I've got the numbers here. We went from 2 weeks ago on a Thursday night, 126 positive student cases, dropped to 111, and then it went to 44. Dropped that fast, and today I think we're around 20. So I would anticipate that we'll probably finish this week with another drop. So I think it is something that we're going to be back to normal over the next, who knows? I saw something. There's another, variant. The only thing I would just, caution us is I think that we were able to treat Omicron differently than we did Delta. And so, you know, I'm not for or against masks. I am for us trying to figure out the best we can what's out there. Is it something more mild that we can be a lot more flexible? You know, a big thing coming up, if it continues to get more mild, the biggest question is not even the mask, it's the quarantine situation. Is the Alabama Department of Public Health going to make it a notifiable disease that requires a 5-day? That's the thing that really hurts us when it comes to keeping kids out of school and teachers. That's, you know, that's a big question I have is what's the state Department of Public Health going to do with those kinds of things? But what if something, you know, and this could be something else in the future. What if it is more dangerous and we're seeing more severe illness and whatever? Then, you know, none of us really questioned in March. I remember the day in March when we were notified, and Floyd came into the office and said, "We've got a busload of kids going to Montgomery, and there's been a case in Montgomery." It was on the news, a case in Montgomery. And we called and we turned that bus just got off the bus in Montgomery, and we turned that entire bus around and brought them home. And every parent, I'm sitting there thinking, these parents are going to let us have it because they paid their money, they've gone to Montgomery, and every parent was so blessed because they were all scared. And nobody knew, right? Nobody questioned the mask at that time because we didn't know. Of course, we've learned so much more. But I would just call, you know, I think the best route is to wait and see what's next. I appreciate the position. I certainly understand it. I think, and you, Bobby, you made a statement that you're probably, and I think I think the majority of our people probably don't like masks and, you know, or want to. I think that's probably the majority. But I also think that the great deal of our, you know, we've gotten so few communications for our people because I think they're just glad that we've got schools open. And so I think that has served us well. And it is such a complicated thing, you know, optional. And I've told y'all this before, but I do worry, and I've told y'all, I've been very honest with y'all. I don't know, you know, I've been running schools and teams and organizations for a long time, and it's hard for me to envision how to run an organization when something is optional. You know, it's masking right now, but what if there was civil unrest in our society, and what if we felt like we needed to put rules in to control that? And what if some parents thought those were good rules and some parents thought those weren't good rules? And so you got to think about that. You got to think about the teachers. What if let's say the positivity rate, like this last one, was at 50%, and we were seeing more severe illness, and we were making things optional for parents. Well, what if a teacher came out and said, I'm not comfortable with kids being in my classroom unless they're masked? Does the teacher have the option of saying that all kids? I mean, you got to be really careful about those kinds of things. So I think it is a point well noted, and I think it certainly be minded. I just want us to be careful moving forward, that I think having as much flexibility as possible to figure out what's going on, figure out what the next disease, because there's going to be a next one, right? And then using the common sense that this board and having the right kind of conversations that I feel like we've tried to do so far. I think that's a good approach. So there's all that from me. So I'll be quiet.
And I'm sorry. I don't want to prolong the discussion unnecessarily. Part of my thoughts come from, what I witnessed. You go out in town after school, and people who are wearing masks at school aren't wearing them away from school. We can't control what they do outside of the 8-hour period of time that they're at school. So I'm not taking a position anti-mask. It's not it at all. I do think that parents should have the power of choice, but if we're going to have masks, then I think we should look seriously at making sure that we have masks that work. And whether that means that we get involved in budgeting to make masks possible for anybody who needs one here in the school system, then I think that's a worthy discussion to have on down the line. But I would like there to be choice, because I think that's consistent with a lot of things about our country. You can't help but have things be political, because we're talking about the polis. It's naturally political. So, but one thing I appreciate is that I've expressed this point of view amongst the board, and I haven't gotten any pushback from a standpoint of, any real negativity thrown at me or people. I love this board. We work well together, and we talk, and I back whatever decision's made. My son will wear a mask when we say mask is required. I just wish it was possible for other parents to make a different decision if they so chose. And just wanted to admit that we can't control things outside of the environment of school. And we all know that what I just said was correct, that there's kids and adults both not wearing masks out there. So anyway, I appreciate y'all as a board letting me express that point of view, and I know that we'll continue to press on to do what's best for the schools, for our kids.
I had a quick comment. So I didn't ask you this question, so there's no prep for it, but how would you compare what we have done as a school system in keeping our schools open compared to the rest of Shelby County or Central Alabama?
Well, I think we've done very well, and I told you on the communication, I take no, and I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's we started back on January the 4th or 5th. We started back, and did it just go through us quicker? Was it that we were lucky? Was it the fact that we had that 3-day weekend and we took one remote day to get us a 4th day? Were the masks effective enough? And I don't think there's any. Everybody agrees that the mask versus Omicron was not nearly as effective. But I think we do have to redefine what effective means moving forward, because from a staffing standpoint, we were right there at the line several days of just having enough staff to keep schools open. So if wearing the mask for 10 days reduced that by just 20%, was that enough to keep 2 or 3 teachers in the building? I don't know. I'm sure there are some school systems around us that have stayed open every day. But I know that there are some that have not. I know there are some that's already been in remote 5 to 10 days. And so I think we're very fortunate. And again, I'm not saying we did anything right compared to anybody else, because the truth is, I can't tell you why we were able to do that, but we were. So there are a lot of people, even throughout the state, that have had to do a lot of remote days. And I think at the end of the day, and I know our priority over masking, over everything, was keep schools open. I think that has been our priority from day one. And so we've been really blessed that we've been able to keep schools open, except for that one day. When we had that 3-day weekend and it was tight, I was just trying to buy us another day. I think Pelham Oaks was really in a bind had we not given us one more day. So I think we've done very well. Can't point to why. I'm just telling you, we've done very well.
Other comments?
I would not be myself if I didn't say something about this, and I am not going to be lengthy, but I think we do need to keep in mind this is a 2-year-old virus. It's about 2 years old that we've known about this, and as often or as quickly as we get information about it, it changes again, and we have to learn about it again. I think in leaving some of the flexibility that we have in place with our plan, it allows us to move as this virus moves so that we can respond in a way that's going to be positive for our system. The whole thing we wanted to do is just to keep the schools open. We did not do well when we were remote, and we don't want to repeat that again, because I don't think we have an effective remote plan in place for that option. So that's all.
All right, Coach, we're ready to go to announcements and then, no, I'm at public recognitions.
Okay. Yeah,
That's all of my report.
Okay. This is the portion of our meeting where we open the floor for public recognitions. If there's anyone here this evening that wishes to address the board. I see no one, so we'll move to board comments.
Dr. Ledbetter again. I believe that God hand appoints the people we have in our system, and He's intentionally placed you here for us, and just welcome to the Pelham family.
Amen.
I'd just like to say that, in the last 2 weeks, I've had an opportunity to be at, Pelham High School track meets. During the board recognition, got to see what the culinary school does. Learned that we have 31 different languages, 31, right? Mm-hmm. Different languages spoken in our schools. Artists, writers, you name it, just really impressive. The band, I went to the concert downtown. And, when I rolled on the board, it was all about COVID, all about keeping the schools open. This is my first opportunity to really get to see what the kids are doing, other than my own, of course. So, but I just wanted to say that, we got a great school system and great kids.
It's kind of nice to be doing school instead of all that.
Well, I think we're all thankful to be able to visit schools. I know I was. That was awesome. And I certainly appreciate the recognition by each of the schools of the board. Very kind of y'all, and we appreciate it very much.
Yeah, if I can piggyback on that just for a minute, I want to talk a little bit about the board appreciation day that we had. It was really, really special. Of course, it's always nice to get a thank you, but when thank yous are as personal as these were, it's really, really special. I happen to have a couple things with me here this evening, and I'm just going to share some of my thoughts on this. I was fortunate enough to get to go to the high school, but I'm sure all the schools were like this. These are, I don't know if this is a drawing or, what's the official term for this?
This is actually a picture from our photography class.
Okay.
That they went and did all the things that they do, the graphic design, but that's an actual photograph from one of our students.
And of course the keywords there are from one of our students. And, I look at this picture and here's what I see. I see where you can't see a time when there were about 15 trailers there. I see a time when you walked in that school and you went, ooh, this is not too good. And that's not what's up on the hill now. The old lady's looking pretty good, and it's going to look better before it's done. And this picture just kind of, encompasses all that to me. And the fact that somebody took the time to do this and put this together is just really, really special to me. And I think every one of our on our board could say the same thing about some of this stuff. So, it was really special. These are poems that were written for us. A written thank you, be indebted. The thing that always amazed me about poets is they really, I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but they really let you into their soul a little bit. I mean, they really do. It takes a lot of guts to be a poet. I mean, I could never do it. And the things that were written in here and the explanations that are with them are just precious. The signed T-shirt that we got, it must have taken 6 days to sign that T-shirt. And the stuff from the local organizations and all that. It's just very, very nice of everyone. And you're supposed to say thank you, but it's important to this board that we really do mean thank you. It was really, really great. So I just wanted to share those thoughts. Also, I want to say another word about our Teachers of the Year. We live in a society that pays millions of dollars to people that can shoot a ball through a hoop or throw a spiral for 60 yards or hit a baseball 400 feet. And I'm all for that, all right? But they don't even measure up to the folks you saw walk through here tonight. You talk about all-stars. I mean, those are all pro performers that came in here tonight, our Teachers of the Year. And I think that one of the few good things that's come out of COVID is that people really have seen just what it takes to be a teacher. And so to our Teachers of the Year, the board wants to say again, hats off to you. And we really are in awe of the job that you do and the job that all of our people do. But it's just really, really special. And what a great night to honor those wonderful people that do so much and touch so many lives. I tell you, there were magicians that came up here tonight now, people that do special things. And you people that are their supervisors, you correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, I didn't think you would. So anyway, it was a great night in that regard. Teacher of the Year is always something special. Board appreciation was special. And I really I think I can speak for all of us. Just wanted to say thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Let me announce that our next board meeting will be February 28th, 2022. There'll be a work session at 7:30 a.m. And the board meeting will be that evening at 6:30 p.m. and it will be held at the Pelham City School Central Office. Okay? All right. With that in mind, we need to move to executive session. We have some items to discuss. I'm going to follow my little script here. Dr. Cofield, if you would get us started.
At this time, I'll request that the board consider voting to go into an executive session to discuss with counsel issues relating to real estate and other legal issues. As you may know, the open meetings law requires that particular procedures be followed prior to entering an executive session. The board must first vote to whether to adjourn to executive session. The vote of each member must be recorded in the minutes, and the board may only enter the session upon a favorable majority vote. Therefore, Mr. President, it would be appropriate for you to entertain a motion at this time that the board enter an executive session.
All right, I will entertain such a motion. Would someone move to executive session, and could I have a second?
Move to executive session.
I'll second.
All right, before convening to executive session, I need to get from our counsel.
Certified be appropriate
Thank you.
to have this session.
Okay, council has provided that, and we have the declaration as required by law. We now will ask Beverly if she will call for the vote. This needs to be a roll call vote, please.
Board Member Robert Pelham,
Aye.
Board Member Bob O'Neill,
Aye.
Board President Rick Rhodes,
Yes.
Board Vice President Angie Hester,
Yes.
Board Member Sharon Sanders.
Yes.
All right, so let it be recorded in the minutes that we voted to go to executive session 5-0. And I believe that we are going to have the executive session in this room right here. As soon as we finish this, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. There'll be no further business after we conclude the executive session. So once I adjourn the meeting, we would ask very, very, very nicely if everyone would please leave, including my wife, sorry. This meeting will probably take about 20-30 minutes, all right? With that in mind, I will entertain a motion to adjourn and a second.
So moved.
I'll second.
All those in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And we are adjourned. And we'll take a couple minutes, and then we will reconvene for the executive session.